Alrighty, folks. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. My name is Voodoo Val, and I am going to be your host this morning for the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. I hope you are all ready to rock. I hope you are all pumped and ready to kind of jump into some designing. I had a lot of fun yesterday, and I have some cool stuff to show you, actually, that I came up with yesterday. I think Ted's talking about it in chat. I kind of blew my own mind. Like, I just kind of ran with some of the designs and things we were working with in the chat yesterday, and I had a good time. So I'm going to show off some of that. I'm also going to show you folks how to get involved with me and jump into today's challenge, where you can get resources and download starter files and all that good stuff. And I'm also going to show you a little bit about the Create Waves campaign that is going on right now. I see so many familiar faces in chat. Good morning, Patrick. Hello, Sam Peterson, Jennifer, Ferry, Sean, Stony, Ted, Andreas, General Kenobi. Hello there. It's good to see all of you folks. If you are over on the YouTube channel, please come over to behance.net/live, because that is where I am reading the chat. It is where you will be able to get a hold of all of the awesome resources and all of that good stuff. So please come on over. This is where the party's happening. Susan, good morning. Kingsley, hello. Tim Loomis, good to see you. Adari, hello. All right, so this is, let me pull up my challenge page here. This is where you folks can go to get a little more information about what we are doing today. If you go to behance.net/challenge/Photoshop, it will take you to this place. If you scroll down here, you will see that as the days go by, we are starting to see some of our challenges become unlocked. Today, we're going to be working with gradients and creating some cool textures and all that jazz. I'm really pumped about it. You can click the watch video button if you need to come back here and rewatch the stream after we get finished today, and you can also hit this get started button to download the starter file and work along with me. You can also jump into the Discord. This is the Discord link. If you go to bit.ly/psdiscord, you want to make sure that P and S are capitalized so you get to the right place, and it will bring you to a little thing that looks like this. Let me hook this up here. This is our Discord, and if you jump in here, you can post all of your challenge entries. This is amazing. This just came in from Susan. Look at that. That is, ooh, look at that. Look at those colors. Look at those layers. That looks so good. So good. Well done, Susan. And so many of you folks have been posting some really excellent work. Everybody has really been kind of going all out. This is amazing. Charles, teach me about the layers of the ocean, an introduction for children. I love this. We've got all the layers in here. We've got all the different sea creatures that you can find in each layer. I love it. You guys have really been kind of blowing this challenge set out of the water. Val made the yellow tang. Yes, I'm going to show it off too, because I'm pretty proud of it. So yeah, this is where you can jump in. It's where you can get some help from mentors. It's where you can download resources. It's where you can post your challenge entries for recognition and maybe for a little bit of help. You can also come up here to the pinned messages and see some of the cool stuff that I have given you as freebies and some interesting tips and tricks and things that can help you put together a case study, all that good stuff. But I'm going to jump over to the Create Waves campaign. Adobe has this wonderful article that they've put together that kind of shows you a little bit about the project that is going on with Adobe and the Ocean Agency. They are calling for artistic creative submissions inspired by ocean and ocean conservation. And it's a cool art contest that I hope you folks will check out. You can also check out the Ocean Agency page that gives you even more about the Create Waves campaign, as well as download the digital toolkit right here that you can use to create some cool art submissions for this contest. All of the challenges for these 2 weeks and for the replays that will be on for 2 weeks going forward are actually centered around ways that you can maybe begin a contest entry, some cool creative projects that are all ocean themed and all that good stuff. So I hope that you folks will check that out. Thank you, Sam, for posting all of the helpful links. Again, if you are over on YouTube and you're not seeing them, please come over to behance.net/live, because that is where we are sharing all of these assets and things. But without further ado, I'm going to jump into today's challenge. Let me pull this down. Okay, so this is actually what I did yesterday. Yesterday we used layers, shapes, shadows, and negative space to create an art piece, like a poster sort of thing that tells a story. And I have a couple of them that I have started, and I'm gonna do more. I did the yellow tang, and I kind of created this cool like paper cutout scene that was really fun. I did not expect to love it this much, but I really did. And I put some more work on the ocean butterfly fish that I have not finished, but I will do, and then I'm actually going to do a nautilus next. So I'm really pumped about this little series that I apparently am doing because I had so much fun. So if you'd like to check out the video that kind of shows you how to do this stuff, please do. It will be here on Behance, or it will be over on the YouTube channel, or you can go to the channel, the challenge page, and hit watch video on yesterday's challenge, and you will get a cool little run through of how I created all of these layers and all that good stuff. Also, the scientific name for the yellow tang is the Zebrasoma flavescens, which I just think is super, super awesome. I don't know if you folks knew that, but I'm having a blast kind of learning about fish and getting to share my favorite ocean things, my favorite ocean tidbits of knowledge with you folks throughout these challenges. It's been really fun. So I hope that you folks will go back and do that. I hope you will join me today. And if you have any interesting facts about the ocean and its wonderful critters, please share it in chat. All right, so this is today's starter file. Create nature-inspired textures and surfaces using gradient maps, brushes, and blending modes. I've got some helpful links and things where you can find textures or colors or stock photos or anything that you might need maybe to create some textures, and I'm gonna jump into what we are doing today. So I'm gonna hide this info so I just have my background here. I'm going to open the CC library that I have been creating along the way, and I'm gonna show you what we're gonna get up to. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create some textures, because as we go through this challenge, especially for those of you who are kind of trying to put together an art contest entry for the Create Waves campaign, you may find that you need some textures and things, and you might find that the ones that are in the digital toolkit maybe don't work for you because we have a limited amount of assets in there. So if you'd like to create your own textures to make a background or to add a little bit of texture to an illustration or what have you, this is a cool way to do it. We're gonna make some water textures here today, okay? So I am gonna grab my brush, I'm gonna hit B on my keyboard, and I am going to grab like a soft round brush from the general basic brushes that you have available to you in Photoshop. And actually, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna change the background of this. I'm gonna grab my my paint bucket tool, and I'm gonna grab this blue color. All I have to do is just tap it in my CC library here, and I'm gonna go ahead and just drop that color in there. Then I'll make a new layer, and we'll get started with brushes. So I'm gonna go Control-Shift-In and enter. And you can also do Command-Shift-In if you were working on a Mac. Just want to make sure I cover all of the hotkey bases there. And with my brush, by hitting B on my keyboard, I've kind of made this larger. You can make your brush size larger or smaller by pressing the left or right bracket keys on your keyboard, by the way. And I'm just going to start sampling some of these colors, and I'm going to drop in. Some nifty shades here, okay? I'm kind of putting them in a way that almost looks like, I guess technically it's like simulating the Illustrator gradients, you know? Like I'm just trying to get a bunch of blues kind of coming in here and kind of warp it around. If I can. I guess I don't have to be this precious with it, but you know, I kind of want to see if we can get some really cool textures, and we are going to make this look like water. So the thing that we can do in the beginning to kind of help ourselves out in creating that water look is to kind of place these colors in a very swirly kind of watery way. Okay, so I've got some good water kind of swirls going on in here. I'm literally just tapping in here and kind of dragging just a little bit just to kind of bring this texture in here. And once I have that, it kind of honestly looks a little bit like caustics. Caustics are, if you've ever swam in a pool or swam in the ocean or swam in a lake and seen those interesting patterns that kind of flow atop the surface, or maybe are on top of you when you're under the water, or on top of any item that you've ever seen submerged in water, those like bright, wiggly, strange textures and patterns, those are called caustics. Great, now I'm thirsty. Yes, Sean, you guessed it, we're gonna jump into some Liquify, okay? And the Liquify is a really cool tool, and some of you may have tried to use Liquify before and maybe found that it was a little difficult, and it can be if you were not familiar with maybe how to use the tools in there. And we're not going to get into every tool that is available to you in the Liquify panel, because that's a lot of stuff to do. But we are going to kind of go over it briefly. So I'm going to leave it like this, and I am going to shut my library there, and I'm going to come up to Filter and Liquify, and this is going to open this layer in my Liquify panel, and I have a bunch of tools and things that I can use over on the side here, but the ones that we're going to focus on are the Forward Warp tool. We're going to use the Reconstruct tool, and we're going to use the Twirl Clockwise tool, which is a really fun one, and then we're also going to use the Bloat tool. So the first one I'm going to do, it's really fun, it's the Twirl tool. I'm going to select that, and I'm going to try and make sure that my brush isn't too large while I do this. Depending on what kind of system, what kind of computer you're working on, you may find that it takes your computer a little bit of thinking, but you can actually minimize the amount of thinking time and processing time that your computer goes through while you're doing this, if you simply if you make sure that you're using a smaller brush, and then maybe also make sure you're editing a smaller size of work in your workspace. So make your file smaller, whatever you have to do. There's a lot of free things to use in this project from Ocean Agency. There is indeed, but just in case you'd like to make your own, we're gonna make our own today. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of start dragging my brush here, and as you can see, it starts to twirl. It starts to twirl things. Let's kind of get over here where we can really twirl it. There we go. Ooh, and it starts to bring, look at that, it starts to bring that other color out there. And you can see it's also pulling this away from the edge over here, which is fine. Let me see, yeah, just kind of getting that, that good twirl going on there, look at that. I think that looks so cool. Just kind of like adding almost like petals and things, which I think looks really cool. But don't worry, it is pulling my layer away from the edge, but we are going to fix that with some of the other tools available to us in the Liquify panel. So once you kind of twirl this to however you would like to twirl it, you can actually come in and use some of the other tools. So for example, we can come in with the Forward Warp tool, and I can actually start dragging if I want. So I can make these a little more dramatic. I can kind of drag that up there. I can pull this down here if I want, and start really kind of pushing and pulling these things around, just to kind of make them look even more watery, so to speak. I can start dragging this. Let's see, as I kind of pull that around, kind of make that a little more round there, and kind of do that however I like. And I can also come in and use the Bloat tool. So if we select the Bloat tool and I get a large brush here, you can see I can kind of start tapping it, and look at that. It starts to really kind of inflate it, almost like an inflation tool, just to kind of get some cool things. And I don't know if this will end up being my main texture that I use, that I create today, but this does allow me a lot of opportunity to kind of experiment and play with what I'm going to be doing. And we can also use the Reconstruct tool, okay? So the Reconstruct tool will start smoothing it back out to its original state, which is really helpful if you start to do something and then maybe you don't think it's going so well, it's not exactly what you wanted, you can start smoothing it out. I can also use that Forward Warp tool and kind of drag things back to the edge of my canvas, like so, if I want. just to kind of keep this texture consistent, because what I don't want to do is kind of come back to my main file and have it all pulled from the edges and have to free transform it and all that stuff. So that is how I would kind of warp around and create myself. Maybe we do like a little bit more warping over in this area. I kind of want to add some more of that bright color. Ooh, it's kind of thinning out a little bit over there. There we go. And I might even come in and add some more texture with my brush and all that good stuff, but it kind of just allows me to kind of get that swirl, especially if you're not an illustrator and maybe you don't have a stylus and you can't like kind of draw around and make things very smooth. This is another way to kind of create a water texture that has a lot of really cool movement. So I'm gonna go ahead and press OK. And I think under other circumstances, I would spend more time on this, kind of adding some more texture, but that's a cool way that you can do that. You can also come in, if I double click my layer, I can come in and I can add texture to it if I want. If you have like a cool texture that you'd like to add, you can add texture onto it to kind of even give it a bigger bump if you wish. But one of the things I would like to add to this and kind of pair it with is an interesting custom brush. So we've kind of created or showed a way that you can experiment with water, but what if I want to make a brush that I can use for this project? And not only make a brush, but I think I'd like to make a brush that paints like a school of fish. Okay, because I could pair that with this water texture and make it look super unique. I could create backgrounds with that and all that good stuff. So I'm going to show you how I create a custom brush and how I edit the settings to make it paint in the direction of fish swimming. Okay, so I'm going to hide this here, and on a new layer, Control Shift in or Command Shift in, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna make some fish shapes, okay? So I'm gonna hit B on my keyboard, make sure I'm selected on my brush. I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna grab like a textury brush. You can use whatever brush you want for this, it's really up to you. I'm gonna use kind of a charcoaly brush for me. And I'm gonna come in with one of these darker colors here. And I'm using a stylus to paint, but you can do this with the pen tool. You can, let me see if I can actually do a demo here. You can use the pen tool to kind of create fish shapes if you want, just to kind of, all I'm gonna do is just be kind of making little shapes like this, just hit shape and just making little kind of pointed oval shapes that suggest fish. They don't necessarily have to look like fish. You can come in with your mouse and put some smoothing on it so that you can get some nice shapes, and you can come in and you can draw with your mouse. I am drawing with my mouse right now and just kind of making these shapes like this, but I'm more comfortable just using my stylus, so that is how I am going to create mine today. All right. So I'm going to turn the opacity up to 100%, and I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to start making these little oval shapes like so, okay? Maybe they're more like almonds. I can kind of go back and forth between my brush and my eraser so that I can erase from the edges. And you want to make sure that you don't sample the background color and start painting here. You want to make sure that you're erasing. You want these to be their own isolated shapes, okay? So I've got this little shape, and I'm just going to hit Control or Command J to duplicate, and then Control or Command T to free transform. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep doing that over and over again until I have kind of a group here that is going to be our makeshift school of fish, okay? So let's get this going like that. And then I'm gonna come in and kind of detail them on their own a little bit. Let me just kind of slip these in here, boom. Got our little fish school going. There we go. Maybe one or two more. There we go, and then I'll do one more at the back. Boom, okay. So this is a pattern. It's kind of a weird pattern, but I promise it will be a school of fish soon. So I'm going to look over here in my layers panel, and I am going to make sure I have this topmost layer selected, and I'm gonna go to the bottommost layer of these little fish shapes that I've illustrated, hold Shift and click so I can select them all. And I am just going to, you can either Control or Command G to group them, or you can Control or Command E just to merge selected. Okay, so I have these. gonna free transform this whole thing, and I'm gonna kind of spread this out, okay? Now, if you want to be a little fancier and you don't want to just have this, you know, these shapes, you can come in and you could do something like this. I'm gonna make a new layer, Control-Shift-N, and I can come in here and kind of add some tails if I want. Maybe I want some little tails just to make this a little more unique. I can totally do that. Let me I'll add like a little tiny tail onto all of these, just to, and I suppose you could draw one fish and give it a tail and then kind of duplicate that over and over again. But what I really want to do is make these look very unique. I want them all to be kind of different, because once we apply the brush settings to this, it's gonna all look super unique. All of the fish will look different, and it will just be a really nice touch. So let's add a tail onto this one, and this last one. We'll throw a tail on there. And then lastly, what you could also do, and this is really up to you, what you want for your project. But lastly, what you can do is you can come in and you can add a little fin or two if you would like to add fins. I might just add fins onto the big boys here. Maybe this guy has a fin down here too. Kind of add a little fin. And then maybe for these ones, maybe we add like a little dueling fin. Like that. Maybe that's how we go for that one. And then boom. Okay, we got a couple of minutes left here, so I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna merge these so that I have my fish, and then what I'm gonna do is hide the background. I'm going to Control T to free transform and kind of turn this so that they're all facing the same direction, like so. And then I'm going to grab my rectangular marquee tool, and I'm just going to select around these fish shapes, okay? I'm going to come up to Edit and go to Define Brush Preset, okay? And I'm going to call this Fish Brush, okay? Now I actually have a fish brush, but it's not as cool as it could be. So if I make myself a new layer, you can see I can stamp my fish here, but if I try to paint with it, it just kind of all blurs together. So in these last few minutes, what we're gonna do is come up here to the top here and open our brush settings, okay? And we're gonna click Shape Dynamics, all right? We're going to, actually let's do a spacing first. This is just brush tip shape. We're gonna do a spacing, kind of space these out. You can see you get a little preview down there, okay? So we'll space those out. Go to Shape Dynamics. Let's do a slight bit of angle jitter, not a lot. And then let's do a size jitter. So what you can see here, what that's doing is it's making, as I paint with the brush, some of the brush shapes will be smaller, some of them will be larger, and all that to kind of give us variation between these fish to really make it look like a fish. And then under angle jitter, I'm actually going to turn this to direction, okay? And we can maybe, I just want a tiny bit of tilt there. We can go to scattering, and you can turn the scattering on just a little bit. And you can come in and add texture, color dynamics, all that good stuff. But for now, this is gonna be good. I'm gonna right click here and say new brush preset. This is very important, because if you change all of the settings in a custom brush and you don't say new brush preset, the moment you switch to a different brush, all of those settings will be lost. So if you do change the settings of the brush, make sure that you come in here and make a new preset. And I'm going to call this fish brush fancy. So I'll have the regular fish brush, and I will have the fancy version with all of the settings in there. And now, now if I paint with this, let me see, I might actually turn that angle jitter. Oh no, it's kind of doing it. It's kind of doing it. All right. Kind of giving us a school of fish. I might edit that angle jitter just a little bit, because I think the angle is, yeah, I don't think we need any angle jitter. Let's see. I'm gonna test it out, and then if I like it, I will save it. Yeah, there we go. So we got our school of fish. So we can come in and make a cloud of fish. We can kind of, maybe we'll paint it big just to give me like a texture-y area here. And then what I can do is make my brush smaller and kind of come around the edges and really kind of make, yeah, look at that! That's so So we've got like a little brush that makes us a school of fish, which is really, really fun. So that is all the time I have for today. I hope that you folks have enjoyed this. This is just a cool way to kind of help you create some assets that may help you and kind of supplement your workflow and your piece as you go through and work on these challenges or work on your contest entry perhaps. And it's fun, and you can do whatever you want with this. You don't have to do ocean stuff with this if you don't want to. You can do whatever you feel like. But I hope to see some schools of adorable fish in the Discord. I cannot wait to see what kind of brushes you folks made and how you apply textures. Get in there, explore those settings. That is all the time I have today, but it has been a blast. I adore you folks. Happy designing. I believe in you. I can't wait to see what you create, and I will see you later on today. All right, folks? Adios, everybody.